I never should have thought the rules were a joke. I found a listing late on a Thursday night, an isolated cabin tucked away in the northern woods, far from the buzzing city and the endless pressure of work. The photo showed a charming wooden structure, smoke curling from a brick chimney, a small porch with a swing. The price was surprisingly low, almost suspiciously so. I needed to get away. I was exhausted, drained from weeks of overtime, the constant buzzing of notifications, and the relentless demands of a life I barely felt I controlled. A weekend alone, maybe 2 nights, seemed like salvation. Booking was simple. The host communicated exclusively through the platform's messaging system. Polite but distant, he never appeared in person, only sending instructions on how to access a lockbox near the porch. "Everything is ready for you," he said. The simplicity reassured me. I packed my things quickly, left the city behind, and drove for hours through the darkening landscape. The road twisted, lined with pines that seemed to whisper in the wind. By the time I arrived, twilight had wrapped the forest in deep indigo. The cabin was exactly like the photos, maybe even more inviting in person. The front door was unlocked with the code, and as I stepped inside, the smell of pine and aged wood hit me. It was perfect. On the kitchen counter, there was a piece of paper. "Welcome. Please read the rules," it said, in neat typed text. Most were standard. No smoking inside, wash dishes after use, don't leave food out for animals. But 3 rules stood out, almost scribbled in bold. Rule number 3. After dusk, keep all curtains drawn, not for privacy, but for courtesy. Rule number 6. If you hear a melodic whistle outside, like a flute, turn on music or television immediately. Do not try to listen. Rule number 8. Make sure the basement door is locked before sleep. Even if it appears closed, check it yourself. I laughed softly at these peculiar instructions. The host must have been eccentric, perhaps the result of local folklore or some overprotective habit. I decided to ignore them, convinced nothing unusual would happen. The first night passed quietly. I made dinner, listened to soft music, and watched the sun disappear behind the trees. Around 11 p.m., I sat on the couch reading, one curtain slightly open. Outside, the shadows of the forest danced. I had the fleeting sense of being watched. Just a trick of the mind, I told myself. The paranoia of being alone in the woods. The next day I explored the area. A narrow trail led to a creek where sunlight glimmered through the leaves. I noticed strange carvings in the trees, simple geometric shapes, arrows pointing in various directions, and symbols that seemed almost like letters. I took photos more out of curiosity than concern. Everything felt calm, almost idyllic. But the second night was different. Around 9:30 p.m., I sat in the living room, lights dimmed. A soft melodic whistle drifted from outside. My first instinct was to follow rule number 6, but my curiosity got the better of me. I muted the television, leaned toward the window, and listened. The tune was hypnotic, almost sweet, but it carried a cold undertone. It grew closer, weaving around the cabin, pausing just outside. My pulse quickened. Then came the subtle knock, soft, deliberate, on the basement door. I froze, my mind raced. I remembered rule number 8. My hands trembled as I approached the door. It had seemed locked when I arrived, but now it was slightly ajar. I secured it with the bolt, pressing my forehead against the wood, trying to calm my racing heart. Sleep was impossible. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the walls seemed magnified. I tried calling the host, even considered dialing the police, but there was no signal. Wi-Fi too was dead. Then a single message arrived from an unknown number. "You broke the rules. You opened the door. Now you must play with us." The whistling began again, closer now, circling the cabin. The rhythm of knocks echoed across the walls, doors, windows, even the floor above me. It wasn't forceful. It was playful, deliberate, mocking. My understanding hit me all at once. The courtesy mentioned in rule that was not for me, but for them. They had been outside waiting, and by breaking the rules, I had invited them in. The night stretched endlessly. Shadows crept along the walls, distorted shapes appearing in corners. I dared not move from the bedroom, barricading myself with furniture. The final moment came with the sound I dreaded, the basement door turning slowly, deliberately. Not pushed, not opened, just unlocked from the other side. I curled into myself, listening to the silence that followed, broken only by the subtle creak of a boat. Morning brought light, but no comfort. Everything seemed unchanged, as if the night's horrors were illusions. Yet I knew better. Every sound, every shadow carried their presence. I left the cabin quickly, not looking back, feeling the invisible weight of the rules pressing down even as I drove away. Days passed and the images of the cabin haunted me. I returned home, yet could not shake the thought that somewhere they were still there, observing, waiting for the next rule to be broken. The sense of being watched never left me. Every creak in my apartment, every unexpected knock made me flinch. I could not tell if it was real, or if the paranoia had taken root permanently. Weeks later, I received a photo, an aerial shot of the cabin taken from above the tree line, showing the curtains of the windows I had neglected to close slightly ajar. In the corner, almost imperceptible, a shadow moved. I didn't need the message that accompanied it. I understood perfectly. Breaking the rules had consequences. Some things were not meant to be challenged. I never returned. I never will. And I warn you, if you ever come across a place with rules that seem unnecessary, do not ignore them. Some rules exist for a reason you may never comprehend. The cost of curiosity can be far greater than the thrill of defiance. I still hear the faint whistle in my dreams. And sometimes, when I turn my head, I feel the gaze of eyes that shouldn't exist, reminding me that the game has not ended. The rules never end. They are patient, they are eternal, and one day they may come for you.